Alert. By way of introduction, my name is Robert Ozybo. It gives me great pride, pleasure each and every single week to represent the company of Harcourts, Rata & Co. I'd like to take just a short moment to thank the owners of this remarkable, this spectacular property for selecting us to market and sell the home. I'd also like to introduce my colleagues who notice them throughout the crowd here today. They're here for your assistance should you require their advice. Please feel free to approach either Deepak Jain, Andrew DeSanto, George Stavrakis, and of course Joel Viavatini, who I'm sure many, if not all of you, have had the great pleasure of becoming acquainted with throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, I'd like to share with you the following announcements which are in place to help you bid and buy with confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that remain available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer. I will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. Now, buyers, a contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. It reads that today, Harcourts, Rata & Co. sells for on behalf of the vendor all that land together with any improvements described in the attached copy of title volume 11863 folio 350, or as it's more commonly known to you and I, as number 1 Barham Way here in Wollert. Selling with the property today, all fixed floor coverings, light fittings, window furnishings and any other fixtures and fittings of a permanent nature. Today, once the property is sold, we will call on the successful purchaser to pay deposit equal to 10% of the purchase price upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of the contracts here today, and the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 30 to 60 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. Attached to and forming part of the contract is the vendor statement pursuant to Section 32 of the Sale of Land Act. This document includes a copy of the certificate of title, as well as any relevant council, planning and zoning information. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything is in here. Everything is quite clear. So buyers, it is with my absolute highest recommendation what we offer you for sale here today. You can buy with absolute confidence knowing that you're buying a quality home in a quality location, a Dennis family home, an ex-display home, as brand new, only a few years old, but never been lived in. Up to this point in its life, it has only ever been used as a display home, so you can buy with the knowledge that you are the first people to move in and enjoy living here at number 1 Barham Way. More than that, as you walk through the door, as you would expect in a Dennis family display home, the quality is evident from the moment you step over the threshold, well through those multiple living zones, that luxurious kitchen, the 4 bedrooms, each with built-in robes, the master with 2 built-in robes, serviced by an ensuite, out to that beautiful undercover entertaining area, the manicured backyard. The list goes on and on and on. And if you look up and down Barham Way, what you see is other display homes, and you know that you're living among quality homes, the way the homes are tended to in this location where we have access to absolutely all the infrastructure that has created so much confidence in the Wollert market. Easy access to parklands as close as the end of the street, not far away at all from transport, and of course the Hume Freeway providing simple access into the city just a stone's throw away, and plenty of good options when it comes to schooling, both primary and secondary. The list goes on and on. The opportunity to buy is now. Our vendors' instructions are quite clear. They want to see a sold sign on their board at the end of this auction. Buyers, if you would like to be the one to place a sticker on the board when all is said and done, right now is your time to reserve that exclusive right. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 1 Barham Way here in Wollert? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call, buyers. I'm in your hands. Start me where you like. I've had the opportunity at 750,000, 750 now, 750 the bid. At 750,000, can I get 25 on top at 750 and 75 the call? At 750,000 bid here, my left against everyone else now. At 750,000 the bid. At 750,000, got to be 75 in the rise at 750 now. At 750,000 once, at 750. At 750,000 twice, at 750. At 75, at 775 now, welcome and best of luck. I was going to say it might be your lucky day, so with one bid, but not to be. Got to give me 2 or 3 at least. Let's go 785. At 785, I short of my stride to get you back involved. Can you round me off to 8, sir? At 785? At 8 now, at 800,000, even money at that. At 800, they'll still take your 10, sir, if you've got it. 800,000, bids 810 now. At 810,000, 20 if you like, sir. At 810,000, fairly been offered now. 20 now. At 820,000, 30 it's got to be. At 25, why not? At 825, at 825,000. How can you refuse it? 830 now. At 830,000. At 830,000, the 5 still good with me if you've got it. You done? Are you sure? At 840,000, back up to 10 now at 840 the bid. At 840,000. At 840,000, welcome, best of luck at 840 now. At 840,000 now, still take the 45, but beat a 10 with a 10. At 840 now, fairly been offered. At 840,000 once. At 840. At 845 now, and welcome back, sir, at 845 for 50 now. Had the 50 here first. Back at 50, at 60, can I say, sir? At 860,000. At 860,000, bid back here, 70 if you like now. At 860,000, I'll still take your 5, sir. At 860,000, fairly been offered at 860 the bid. At 860,000 once. At 860, are we done? At 865, and welcome back at 865. And I tell you what, sir, at 865,000, my instructions are clear. We're on the market. We sell here today at 865,000. At 70? At 66, and why not? At 866, we'll go brick by brick if we need to. At 70 now, at 870,000, that's a better bid, sir. If you want to buy, you have to bid big. At 72, I have here. At 75, at 875,000. No half-time break, folks. Well, I'm out here till we sell, not going inside, not seeking instructions. We're on the market. We sell here today. 875, what was that? 880 now. At 880,000. At 880,000, bid back there against you, sir, and you, sir, across the road. Are we definitely done over here? At 880 the bid. At 880,000, fairly been offered now. Once. At 880. 885 across the road again, and the opportunity on this side with me at 885 now. At 885,000. So roll the dice, give me a big bid. Take me to 9. At 90 now, at 890,000. Might be the first to 900 wins, sir. And I'll tell you what, if that's the case, you want to make sure it's you that arrives first. At 890,000, the bid's there. It's against you now. At 890,000, fairly been offered. 900 would be a statement bid. Might be the bid that gets it done for you. At 890, the bid now. Once. At 890,000. Done. 895, sir, you've left the door open for them to take that 900. At 895 and 900 now if you like. At 895 I have. At 895,000. At 96. Well, he's throwing the opportunity right back to you at 97 now. At 97, at 897 the bid. At 897,000, fairly been offered now. Once. At 897. At 900,000, even money at that at 900,000. Did it work against you, sir? At 901. At 901, stay steadfast in your bidding here today if you want to buy. At 901,000 the bid now. At 901 and 902 now. At 902 and 3 the quick retort. At 903. At 903. When there's quick and fast bidding, sir, it shows value at that level. At 5 now. 4 and 5 got. At 905,000. Straight back at you, sir, at 905. A big bid might do it for you now. At 905,000 the bid there across the road at 905. At 905,000, 6 now at 906. 7, sir. 10, even better. At 910,000 now. At 910,000, fairly been offered. Across the road. 11 now at 911. 12. I was going to say, sir, it's 911 emergency. You need to bid, but 12 we've got. At 912,000. At 912,000, bid there now and a half at 912 and a half. Cause for optimism. You've got them on the ropes. 14. At 14 now, 914,000 the bid. At 914, fairly been offered. At 914,000, what do you say? Sir, ma'am, a big bid. Might bet get you back in the race, get you those keys for good. At 914,000, the bid's there. It's against you. Can entice you in for one big bid of 20. Leave it all on the table at 15. I'll take it 915. At 915,000. At 16, straight back in again at 916. At 916, it's back, ball's back in your court. Opportunity with you. At 916, the bid's there against you on this side with me. At 916, at 20 now, and a great bid at that at 920. At 2121, Deepak Sage. At 921. At 921,000 now, fairly been offered. At 921, the bid. 25. At 25 now. So you've got to fight fire with fire. Can I entice you in for 30? At 26, I'll take it. No worries. Just trying to help you out, sir. At 926 and 27 now, it's going to be 28 now. 28 got. At 928,000, fairly been offered at 928 the bid. At 29 now, at 929. 30 if you like, sir. At 929 the bid there. Opportunity with you. At 529 and a half. At 929,501. Small step to 930. At 929,000. At 930 now. Door left the door wide open for that bid. At 930 and a half. At 930.5. At 930,500 the bid. Once. At 930 and a half. At half now at 931. At 931 and a half. At 931 and a half. At 931,000. So in my experience, when the competition bids 500, you should bid 5,000. That's how you buy. At 931 and a half, the bid's there. It's against you. Take me to 35. Make a statement bid, a final bid here. A knockout bid, as we call it, at 931,000. At 35 now, 935. I give you the same advice, sir. A big bid will help you buy it here today. At 935,000, the bid's there. At 36 now, 936,000. At 936,000, so what do you say about 940? It sounds so nice. Rolls off the tongue. 940, 936 I have. At 936,000, fairly been offered once. At 36, all done. At 936,000, twice. At 93, at 37 now. At 937,000, how's that sound to you? So does 940 sound nice to you? At 37 I've got. At 937,000. At 940. At 940 does sound great, doesn't it? But you know what sounds better, sir? 941. At 940,000, the bid's there now at 940. At 940 I've got. At 940 the bid, and we sell here today. Make absolutely no mistake. We're selling at 41 now. At 42, straight back in, the quick retort again at 42. At 43 now, at 943,000. At 44, at 944 the bid. At 5 now, 945. At 945,000. At 945,000, round me off to 50, sir, if you're here to buy. At 945, the bid's there, the keys are there. At 50 now, at 950,000. At 950 the bid, fairly been offered there. Was that enough, sir? You sure? That's the barrier, that's the limit. At 950,000. So in my experience, when you get to the end of your budget, you've always got to go just that one bid more, just to test the waters. See if the competition is really there. At 950, the bid's there, the keys are there. We are selling here today at 950,000. Bid here with you, sir, ma'am, at 950,000. Once at 950, are we done? At 950,000, twice at 950, done, finished, third, final call at 950,000. The bid. All done, all finished, silent and out at 950. We're definitely done over here. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. Over here, we're definitely done at 950,000. Thank you very much, sir, ma'am. Do I have your absolute best here today? I can't entice you in for another half. 950 and a half. What about a quarter? 250. You spend more on that celebrating tonight with drinks at 950,000. If you decide later, so you want to chuck another 250 in the kitty, I can't take it. I can only take it here and now at 950,000. That's definitely done. Thank you very much for your spirit of bidding here today. Hopefully next time we meet, we enjoy success together at 950,000. They tell me they're out, so just going to go through the motions at 950,000. Once, twice, third, final call at 950,000. The bid, all done. Finished, silent and out at 950. We're selling, 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 sold. Congratulations, well bid. Congratulations to our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourt Strata & Co auction. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this beautiful weather and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Congratulations, well bid. Good, nice, strong bidding. Well done. Deepak, would you mind taking them inside?
Yes, please. Welcome, sir.
Well done. Thanks, guys.
That's okay.
Hopefully we'll get the next one for you. Thank you.